When you do this worksheet, you will need a periodic table with the ions labeled, and you will need your reference table with the polyatomic ions, the very back page. When you figure out the formula of a compound, you need to watch carefully at the first word and the second word. When you look at the first word, it is a positive ion. If it is ammonium, it's a polyatomic ion. If it's anything but ammonium, it is found on the periodic table, +1, +2, or aluminum has a +3. The second word, if it ends in ate, then it is a polyatomic ion. Acetate, chlorate, nitrate, skip this one, carbonate, sulfate, and phosphate all end in ate, A-T-E. If it ends in "ide," it is either one of your negative ions, notice they all end in "ide," or it's hydroxide. So be aware of ammonium and hydroxide are the two that can trip you up. This is the positive ion that can trip you up. This is the negative ion that can trip you up. So we have potassium nitrate. It is not the word ammonium, therefore it's on the periodic table. Here's potassium. It has a +1. So let's write our scrap work out to the side, K+. Nitrate, it ends in ate, therefore it is on your polyatomic ions list. Nitrate here is NO3, -1. Remember, say your subscripts first because you're telling how many of each atom, then say the charge because the charge goes on everything. So NO3, -1. Now, remember, copy your positive ion, crisscross the charge from here, which is an invisible 1, copy your negative ion, copy all the subscripts but not the charge, so copy NO3, make sure that's a capital O, and then crisscross the invisible +1 and you don't put it. Aluminum hydroxide. This is aluminum, not ammonium, so it is on the periodic table and it has a +3. Hydroxide. You would think that it would be on here because it's an "ide," but be careful, it's actually here, hydroxide. So OH-. All right, copy down the aluminum, don't copy the charges, copy the hydroxide, don't copy the charges. Now crisscross the charges. Take the 3 and put it on the OH. Since we are having more than one of this polyatomic OH, we need to put parentheses, 3. We want the 3 to go with the O and the H, not just the H. Then take the invisible 1 and put it after the aluminum. You don't write it, so you're done. Let's skip ahead to ammonium phosphate. Ammonium, there's that ion. So NH4 +1. NH4 +1. Phosphate is also 8, so it's on the polyatomic ions list, PO4, -3. Okay, so copy down your positive ion with its subscripts, NH4. Copy down your negative ion with its subscripts, PO4. Now do the crisscross rule. Take the 3 and put it after the NH4. Wait a minute, how do we put a 3 and a 4? Oh, we have more than one of this polyatomic ammonium, so we use parentheses. And then PO4, the invisible 1 goes after that, so we're done. By the way, you will never have 2 sets of parentheses in the same compound. You will only have 1 set of parentheses or no parentheses. Let's jump ahead and look at naming. You also have to be careful with naming because if it's a binary compound, it will always end in "ide." Binary means there are only 2 elements. That means there are only 2 capital letters. If you have a ternary compound, it will either end in "ate" or the second word will be hydroxide. A ternary compound has 3 or more elements, so there are 3 or more capital letters. So for example, capital K, capital S, capital O, this is a ternary compound. It will probably end in 8 and maybe hydroxide. This one is also ternary, so is this one. This one is binary, magnesium and sulfur, so this one will definitely end in "ide." So the first element is the first ion unless you see ammonium. So the first element is K. Look that up on your periodic table. That is potassium. Remember, your first element is always positive, so it's either these 2 rows or it's aluminum. So potassium. Now SO4. This is a polyatomic ion, so we use our reference table. Find SO4, there it is, sulfate. That's a whole lot easier than writing the formula, isn't it? First letters, or first element, look on the periodic table, that is calcium. Second ion, NO3. Notice it's inside the parentheses. We include the number inside and don't include the number outside. If it's not in parentheses, here's NO3 again, we include the subscript. So we're looking for NO3. There it is, nitrate. So this is calcium nitrate. Remember, if you see NH4 out front, that is a polyatomic ion. All right, let's skip ahead to MgS. Mg on the periodic table is magnesium. S, wait, that's not polyatomic. That's just monatomic. Mono means one atom. Like if you're sick with mono, you have to stay by yourself. That's how I remember mono. So mono, 1, so it has a single atom in the ion. So that was S. Sulfur has a -2 charge. Oh, we don't need the charge, but we do need the fact that it ends in "ide." So sulfur becomes sulfide. Notice how that's a binary ionic compound, and it ends in "ide." By the way, each of these names will only have 2 words because you can only have 2 ions per compound. Look down here. If the first ion is a single element, all the rest of them go together into a single ion. Hopefully that will help you figure these out. Don't forget to go back and do number 18 and then finish the worksheet.